guys, my name is Annabella. Have a good day.
Alright, today we're going to talk about multiplication with integers. Again, we're going over the basics from middle school and elementary school to make sure that when we get to high school stuff, we understand what we're doing. Let me go ahead and put equal signs because I forgot them. So, in high school, parents, kids, we don't use an x for multiplication because it can be confused with the variable x. So there's a couple of different ways when you're multiplying numbers times numbers to show multiplication. So if you notice, we're going to go over all of them. You can use a dot, you can use parentheses, and you can use brackets. They all mean to multiply. So here, if you notice, we have all positives times positive. So a positive times a positive is also a positive. So this should be the one you have memorized. 9 times 7 is 63. Okay, that should be memorized. Here we have 11 times 12. And again, parentheses mean distributive property. So technically we're saying 11 times 12 is something. Now, this is one of the ones that's supposed to be memorized, but for those of us that need a little help with double-digit multiplication, let's do it again. So we have 12 times 11. Okay? So we're going to multiply here first. So 2 times 1 is 2. 1 times 1 is 1. So this guy right here in the one spot got multiplied here, and it got multiplied here. He's finished, so we're not going to use him. He's done, so we're going to put a 0 in his spot right there. Okay? So now we're again going to start at the 2. This 2 gets multiplied by 1, which is 2. And then this 1 gets multiplied by this 1, which is 1. And then, of course, we're just going to add. 2 plus 0 is 2. 1 plus 2 is 3. 0 plus 1 is 1. So, therefore, a positive 11 times a positive 12 is a positive 132. Here we have 15 times 3, which should also be memorized. Alright, so again, brackets mean distributive property, just like parentheses. So distributive property means what's on the outside of the brackets or parentheses is multiplied by what's on the inside. So we're going to write 15 times 3. Okay? So we're going to go straight down. 5 times 3 is 15. Put down my 5, carry my 1. 1 times 3 is 3. Plus 1 is 4. So therefore a positive 15 times a positive 3 gives us a positive 45. So let's go over here now. What you're going to notice here is that these were positive, so it gave us a positive. Here we have a negative times a positive. So anytime you see a negative times a positive, there's only one negative. There's only one, which means that there's going to still only be an answer of a negative. 6 times 8 should be memorized. 6 times 8 is 48. Okay? Again, I have a parentheses, so I'm going to do the distributive property. 13 times negative 8. Well, I have a positive times a negative, which gives me a negative. Okay? I'm going to go off to the side, and I'm going to multiply 13 times 8. Okay? I'm not worried about the positive or negatives here because we already determined that a negative here and a positive here will give me an answer that is a negative. So, same thing. 3 times 8 is 24. Put down my 2. Put down my 4. Carry my 2. 1 times 8 is 8. Plus 2 is 10. Okay? So what that tells me is that negative 13 times positive 8 gives me a negative 104. Alright? So now we're going to look here. Same thing. I have a negative times a positive. Means that my answer will, no matter what, be a negative. Outside means to distribute, which means to multiply. I already know my answer is going to be a negative because a negative times a positive is a negative. Come off to the side. 21 times 5. Again, I'm not worrying about the negative right here because I already know my answer is a negative. 1 times 5 is 5. 2 times 5 is 10. So therefore my answer is a negative 105. So notice, positive times positive, positive. Negative times positive, negative. So now we're going to come over here where we have negatives times negatives. Now this is different, okay? When you have a negative times a negative, you see 2 negatives. A negative times a negative will automatically give you a positive. Negative 5 times negative 4 should be memorized, which is negative 20. right? That's what some of you would say because they're both negatives, but it's not. So a negative times a negative is a positive, so it's not a negative 20, it's actually a positive 20, okay? Here, same thing, I have distributive property, so we're going to draw our little arrow, put a little multiplication symbol if that helps us. If you don't want to put this, you don't have to, you can just draw the arrow, that's fine. Negative times a negative automatically will give us a positive. So I'm going to come off to the side and I'm going to multiply 14 times 4. I'm going to tell you now, this is one of the ones you need to have memorized. 4 times 4 is 16, carry my 1. 1 times 4 is 4, plus 1 is 5. Okay? So therefore, a negative 14 times a negative 4 gives me a positive 56. This is positive. Okay? Here thing, same thing. We have a negative times a negative. I have a negative 9 times a negative 12. Negative times a negative gives me a positive. This one should be memorized. If it's not, we can work it out, no big deal. I have 12 times 9. 2 times 9 is 18, carry my 1. 9 times 1 is 9, plus 1 is 10. And again, it's positive because a negative times a negative is a positive. Okay? So let's go over this one more time. Really quick. So if you write down any notes, this is probably what it should be. Alright? And I'm going to put them in parentheses so that just so we understand. A positive times a positive will give me a positive. Okay? A negative times a positive will give me a negative. Now, it doesn't matter if the negative is in the front or if it's at the back. So it doesn't matter. This doesn't matter. It doesn't change anything. Okay? As long as you understand that a positive times a negative is a negative. So lastly, I have a negative times a negative. And a negative times a negative will give me a positive. Okay? This I would 100% have memorized with our multiplication like we're supposed to. Alright, bye guys. I hope that helps. Bella, say bye.
Bye.